Transitioning from employee to manager requires a different way of thinking. You have to go from being the doer to the decision maker. If you, as a manager or business owner, make all the decisions on your own without involving your team, you run the risk of disengaging your employees. On the other hand, if you're indecisive and can't make a decision, you run the risk of not being seen as the leader that you really are. In this video, I'm going to explain a 4-stage process that can help you understand how to make decisions and understand when you should involve your team in the decision-making process. Hi there, it's Karina Walsh of Shift People Development, Inc. Decision-making is a key skill set for any manager, supervisor, executive, or business owner. I have coached so many managers who either have decision fatigue, they're exhausted from making all the decisions on their own and they can't possibly make another decision. And I've coached managers and business owners and executives who are indecisive because they're afraid they're going to make a mistake. Now, you do not have to end up on either end of that continuum, okay? You don't have to get and find yourself in any of those stages. You can make good decisions and you can understand easily when you should be involving someone else in the decision-making process or when you should go it alone and make the decision yourself. So there's this 4-stage continuum for decision-making that I want to share with you today. And this is a tool that Google uses to train their managers, so you know it's a really effective decision-making process. And it's something that's really going to help you realize that you don't have to go it alone all the time. There are times when you should involve your team in the decision-making process, which can also help with indecision if you happen to be an indecisive decision maker. So this 4-stage continuum is known as tell, consult, delegate, consensus. I'm going to say it again. Tell, consult, delegate, and consensus. So let's start with the first one, tell. Tell is where you solely make the decision on your own. You take full ownership for the decision. You would use the tell part of the continuum when maybe there's not going to be a lot of impact on your team by making this decision. Okay, so that's when you alone can take ownership, make the decision on your own. Your team will not be impacted that much. You would move to the consult stage of the continuum when there is going to be more impact on your team. They are likely going to want to know why this decision is made, and there's potential that they would want to have a say in this decision. So consult is literally consulting your team. You would go out, ask your team how they feel about this decision, tell them what the decision that has to be made, and get some ideas. Now, here's an important element of the consult stage of this continuum. If you ask employees for their ideas and you don't use their ideas, they need to know why. You need to go back and tell your employees why you weren't able to use their decision. Because if you engage them, if you ask them their opinion on something and then you can't take any of their ideas, but you don't tell them why, they feel like you didn't hear them. And they also feel like you might have wasted their time. So make sure you always tell employees why you couldn't take their decision, why you couldn't implement their decision. The 3rd stage on that decision-making continuum is called delegate. So this is where the employee takes complete ownership over the decision-making, and you simply let them know that this is what has to get done, this is the decision that has to be made, and I'm going to let you decide how that will happen. So a good example of that might be when an employee is deciding how they're going to get their work done. You've told them what needs to happen, you told them how you want that to look, but now they get to decide how they're going to do their work. Or maybe there's a low-level decision that could potentially actually have a high impact on the team or a high level of influence over the team, and you want to give them more ownership because maybe you're trying to develop their decision-making skills. That's when you would move to that delegate stage of the continuum. The last stage of that continuum is called consensus. So that's pretty obvious. That's where you're going to bring your entire team together, tell them, give them the options about what needs to happen, and maybe you'll do some voting, and maybe you'll use a voting tool and come up with some type of consensus as to how you'll move forward. So strategic planning is a great example of consensus. Once a quarter or a couple of times a year, you bring everyone into the room. You're going to decide on priorities. You're going to decide where the focus will be and how to set goals. And consensus is how you would do that. So the whole point of this continuum is to let you know that, number one, you shouldn't make all the decisions on your own. There are times when you should involve your team in the decision-making process because it will engage them. It will help them feel like they're actually part of the team. Everyone wants to have a say. Everyone wants to feel heard, and this is how you're going to make sure your employees feel heard and feel like they're a part of the solutions. And if you are more on the indecisive end of things, if you struggle to make decisions, then involving people in the decision process can give you a little more confidence as well. Decision making is a key skill that every manager, executive, and business owner has to have honed very well. And there's times when you should involve your employees, and there's times when you should make the decision on your own. So hopefully the tell, consult, delegate, consensus model can help you understand that continuum of decision making, so you know when to involve your employees and when you should be the one making the sole decision. Thank you so much. If you would like more videos, more training on management development and leadership development, feel free to reach out and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you never miss out on any of these videos.